Hello. Welcome to The Healing Artist. I'm your host, Frida. So, piggybacking off of what we had going on this Monday, I convinced my woo-woo bestie, Christine, to share her video that we made together called The Wonderful World of Muscle Testing. Now, I take full responsibility for making her say, "Welcome to the wonderful world of muscle testing." That is my sense of humor. So, where to begin? In my morning meditation program, Return to Self-Love, the folks that are in the program are really advanced healing students, and they all have like a lot of knowledge, and everybody brings something to the table. And if there's someone in the group that does something better than I do, I'll ask them. I'm like, "Hey, what do you get a hit about this on?" Or like, what do you think about this? Because I believe that everybody's voice is very valuable in the space. And I am the queen of the sway test, but Christine is the queen of muscle testing. And I just offhandedly mentioned muscle testing. Some people in the group said that they had some issues with it. And I was like, "Hey, well, let's do a video on muscle testing for you to do in your free time and to work on learning muscle testing." So Christine and I had hopped on a Zoom call, and we sort of just had a conversation and then ended up making this like 11-minute video that teaches you, I think it's like maybe 5 different ways to muscle test. I think we were talking about the Emotion Code. So the Emotion Code is this really awesome book that was written by a chiropractor, and he has this technique that he developed on finding trapped emotions within the body. And in order to test where the trapped emotions are, he uses muscle testing, and the book teaches you how to muscle test. And then to, using that muscle testing, go into the body and find these trapped emotions, and then they teach you a technique to remove them. Well, I love using the Emotion Code. I think it is a fantastic tool for your toolbox. So I would highly recommend the book, The Emotion Code. You can listen to it as an audiobook, or you can read it. There's a lot of fluff in it, so there's a lot of like stories about how it works for people and how it changes people's lives, but stick with it, because by the end it does teach you throughout the fluff how to do the process. And it's a tool that I use all the time. At this point, I've pulled over 250 emotions out of my body. I want to say more like 280. Around 250, that was like the chunk of them. I would just wake up in the morning and I'd pull as many of them out as my body would allow that day. And I kept notes on it. But at 250, my body was like complete with pulling emotions at that time. So I stepped away from using that tool. But since then, every once in a while, I'll have like some major issue of like feeling some like physical pain in my body. And then I'll go, did I get a trapped emotion there? It'll be yes. And then I'll go in and use the Emotion Code again on that new trapped emotion that might have come in. Or maybe layers have been unearthed within my own healing work and I have access to something I didn't have access to before. Anyway, I'll go in and use it. And I think that I've probably pulled about an additional 30 trapped emotions out of my body since the original 250. So I just think it's a fantastic tool. Anyway, we're going over that in Return to Self-Love. And we're like, "Christine, you are the muscle testing queen. Let's make a video. Let's do this." So she was a very good sport, and we made this video. And I was just having such a fun time in the iMovie editing that if you can watch this on YouTube, there's lots of words I put on the screen and pictures and stuff like that. So this is probably the most advanced video that I've ever made, but I was just really enjoying myself doing it and had a lot of fun. And it's incredibly informative and great. So I just want to keep showcasing my woo woo bestie, and I'm grateful that she said yes to me in order to share this with you. So, welcome to the wonderful world of muscle testing.
Hi everyone, my name is Christine. Welcome to the wonderful world of muscle testing. In this video, I will do a brief introduction to muscle testing, as well as show you 5 different ways in which you can muscle test for yourself if you would like. So, muscle testing is a really helpful tool to just check in and see what your body really wants, because our body has a lot of information and a lot of knowledge. And especially if you're someone who has a hard time connecting to your body or listening to your body, I will just say that I had a teacher who told me not to rely on muscle testing so much, especially if you can rely on your intuition or if you have other ways of listening to your body and checking in with your body. I'm going to walk you through the way that I used it, or the way that I learned it, which was part of learning a healing modality called Psych-K 11 years ago. But, muscle testing is used in all different scenarios. I know I've been to a chiropractor and they muscle test. So this is just, I'm just walking you through how I learned it. The first thing that you want to do when you're starting to muscle test is you want to have your head forward, your gaze forward, with your chin parallel to the floor, but you also want to have your gaze looking down. And the reason being because when you have your gaze looking upwards, then you're accessing more of your mind. But when you are looking downwards, you're accessing more of your body, right? So the results that you'll get in the muscle testing, when you're looking downwards, will be more, as it relates to what does your body want. And you won't necessarily have the input from your mind. When I learned starting out, it was like, it's called establishing communication, because how do you know what is a strong or what is a weak response? So strong generally is going to indicate a yes or something that's positive, and a weak response is something that's going to indicate a no or a negative. So there are 3 different ways that I learned to establish communication. The first one is doing the name test, right? So you want to do things that are objectively true, or things that you objectively believe to be true. So my name is Christine, so I'm going to test that. My name is Christine. This is a strong response. My name is Christine. So that means that my body is saying, yes, my name is Christine, right? But if I do, my name is Ralph, that's a weak response, right? Because my body's like, no, your name is not Ralph. So that's a great way to establish communication. Know, what does a strong feel like? My name is Christine. What does a weak feel like? My name is Ralph. The other way in which you can establish communication is the yes no test. So you just repeat to yourself 3 times, yes, 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 and that's a strong. Or you repeat to yourself 3 times, no, 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 and that's a weak. The third way to establish communication is to get into the feeling of something that brings you joy or brings you love. So whether that is thinking about a loved one, or for me, most recently, it's thinking about my favorite band, BTS, right? And that really brings me a lot of joy. So if it's helpful to close your eyes, to help you get into the feeling of that. But when you do the muscle testing, you do want to have your eyes open, again, gaze looking down. But when you're in the feeling of that, and then you'll want to test. So for me, that's strong. And then on the opposite side, you want to get into a feeling, or you want to feel into something that doesn't bring you as much joy. You don't want to necessarily go into deep fear about it, but it's something that, like, whether it's something that annoys you or it's just something that you don't like, right? And then you want to get into that feeling, and then you'll want to test. And then ideally that would test weak. So what we'll get into is, once you've established this communication, what happens if, right, both test strong? Like, my name is Christine, what happens if that test strong? And my name is Ralph test strong. What happens if both of those test strong? So it just means that you're in an overactive state. So you'll want to get into what we call a whole brain posture. And you can do that in several different ways, but the easiest way is to just cross your ankles over each other, right? It doesn't really matter which side that you cross. It could be your right ankle over your left ankle, or your right ankle. It could be your right ankle over your left ankle, or your left ankle over your right. And then you want to do the same thing with your arms. So you want to extend them in front of you, parallel to the floor. And then It depends on which one you want to do. Just cross your wrists and then turn your hands so that your palms are facing together and then interlace your fingers. So now at this point, you can either lower your arms and have your hands rest in your lap, or if it feels more comfortable, you can kind of do like a twisty pretzel and have your hands against your heart. And you'll just want to sit in this posture. You can close your eyes if you'd like, and just sit for however long feels good to you. And then when you're ready, you can uncross your ankles, uncross your wrists, and then try the testing again, right? And then, hopefully it's my name is Christine is strong, my name is Ralph is weak, right? If that continues with the strong, continue to stay in the whole brain posture. And what the whole brain posture does is, so for the most part, our brain, we have the left hemisphere of our brain and the right hemisphere of our brain, and they're separated. There is a part in the back of our brain called the corpus callosum that actually connects the two hemispheres. So when you're in a whole brain state, there's flow between the two hemispheres and there's communication. If both end up testing weak, right? So yes, yes, yes is weak. No, no, no is also weak. That just means you're dehydrated. So you're just going to want to drink some water. Again, enough water, whatever amount of water feels good to you. And then after you drink water, then you'll just want to test again. And hopefully, again, you'll get back to a strong response for yes and a weak response for no. So that covers the 3 ways to establish communication. So now I'm just going to walk you through some different ways in which you can muscle test. You kind of just want to stay in a relaxed posture, right? You don't want to tense up and stiff up, but you don't also want to be so relaxed that you're loosey-goosey, just kind of how you would normally be kind of like in your everyday life. So the first one, I'm going to call these aren't the official names, it's just what I'm making up right in the moment. Linked chains. So you kind of want to just have your thumb and your index finger touching each other for both hands. And then you're going to link them together. So it's creating like a chain link. So what a strong response looks like. So my name is Christine, right? They're going to stay connected. My name is Ralph. The chain is going to break. We'll just say the finger through the loop. So you're going to create a loop with your thumb and your index finger in one hand, and then you're going to put your index finger of the other hand, and then so when you get it strong, so yes, 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 that's a strong. So the loop is not going to break, right? Your finger will just will stay within the loop. When it's a weak response, no, 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 then it goes right through. So strong response, weak response. Okay, so the next method that I'll show you is the palm on your chest. Or if you want, instead, if you prefer a flat surface, like a table, just pretend this hand is a table and you can put your other hand on top of it. But I'll finish the demonstration using my chest. So you just want to have your index finger raised, or if you want another finger, it really doesn't matter. But I think probably the index finger or the middle finger will probably feel most comfortable. And you'll just want to have the finger raised. And then when you go to do the test, right, what a strong will look like is when you place your other finger on your other hand on the finger that's raised, a strong and you press down will stay up. A weak, the finger will go down and meet the rest of the fingers on your chest. So once again, strong and then a weak. It's a little hard to demonstrate it this way. So again, just pretend underneath here is a table if you want to do it on a flat surface. The strong will stay up, weak will go down. So the fourth method that I'm going to show you is crossed fingers. So you're going to want to put your middle finger on top of your index finger. And then you're going to, when you go to do the muscle testing, you're going to press the middle finger against the index finger. A strong response, the finger won't move. The finger will stay. So the middle finger will stay on the index finger. A weak response, the middle finger will flick off or fling off the index finger. So My name is Christine. That's a strong response. My name is Ralph. That's a weak response. The last one that I'll show you is the finger flick. So I will say the crossed fingers and the finger flick, you can actually, both of these are ones that are a little more discreet. So if you don't feel comfortable having other people see you do muscle testing in public, the crossed fingers and the finger flick are really great ones that you can do that people won't even necessarily be able to tell that you're doing muscle testing. So with the finger flick, you can use either hand and you can use either finger. So you're going to definitely use your thumb in any situation. And then you're either going to take your index finger, put it against your thumb, and you can use your middle finger or even your ring finger. I've never tried the pinky. Presumably that would work too. So you're going to rest your, whatever finger you choose, you're going to rest it against the flesh of your thumb. And then a strong response, when you go to test it, you're just going to press your finger against your thumb. So a strong response, it's going to stay, right? You're still going to be able to maintain that circle with your finger and your thumb. And then a weak response, it's going to flick up, right? So yes, 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 that's a strong response. No, 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 that's a weak response. My name is Christine. That's a strong response. My name is Ralph. That's a weak response. I will caveat, like, this takes practice. These are things that you fine tune over time. And I've met a lot of people who, really take the time to figure out like what method of muscle testing works the best for them, and also like to really feel good and to be able to really trust the muscle testing, like, oh, this feels good in my body.
So I hope that you enjoyed the wonderful world of muscle testing. I think Christine is an amazing teacher, and I'm really proud of her. That's the first time that she did something like that, and I just think she did great. But I think that everything that she does is great because that's how I feel. Okay, friends, until next time, I wanted to tell you that I love you. God, Universe, Source loves you, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.